welcome to Rootz Remedies, a podcast where we explore how to return to our roots in order to become the best versions of ourselves. My name is Latasha, and I am honored to be your orator and guide on this journey into this sacred space. And today we are going to be exploring how to take our power back. In a world where we are burnt out and running on fumes, how can we really reconnect with ourselves and take our power back so we can be the best version of who we are meant to be? But before we get into today's episode, I invite us to first take a moment of breath. So wherever you are, I invite you to get comfortable. Settle into your body, into this moment. As you breathe, take a nice, deep, slow inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale. Continue to breathe at your own pace as you listen to the sound of my voice. This is for the person that exists, the one I may never have the honor of meeting, but who somehow hears this poem. The one in need of a reminder to be grounded in the power of who you are, the one who needs to be reassured that you can be sure of your strength. You can do this. No matter what anyone is trying to convince you of, I reassure you that you can, you are. No matter what obstacles are coming up in your life, you can take your power back. You have the ability to stand in the peace and strength of all that you are. So may you breathe and remember that you can cultivate internal peace. Continue to breathe, allowing those words to settle in your body. As you inhale, exhale. The affirmation for today's episode is, I can make empowered decisions. I can make empowered decisions. Take one more deep cleansing breath. Let it go. Thank you for joining me for that breath. Now let's get right into it. Today's topic, the root of the topic that we are going to be discussing today, is how to take our power back. And what do I mean by that? And why is this even a topic that I would like to explore with you all? So a little bit about why this has come up for me is, as someone who has been in the health and wellness sphere for a very long time, one thing that I have realized is the system is set up in such a way where we are expected to go out to others who are considered the experts or professionals on certain matters, right? And not to say that certain things, especially when it comes to health and wellness and healing, doesn't require a certain depth of knowledge and understanding. Absolutely, yes. However, in focusing so much on that system and that way of thinking, it is my belief that has taken us so far away from the truth, which is our bodies have an innate ability to heal itself. when given the space and opportunity to do so. I also think that that detours us from the knowledge that we are experts in our own lives. We are experts of our own bodies. And once we give ourselves the opportunity to get off of the spinning wheel of productivity, the spinning wheel of just go and instant gratification, once we take a break and step away from that model, we are able to see that with simple tools, we are able to start regulating ourselves again. And I would like to point out that I say simple, but that does not mean easy. Okay. And so we'll get into what those tools are. However, one thing that I would like to note is why does it matter? We are in a world that's fast paced and go, but why does it matter to reconnect to who we are? And in this world as it currently is, it keeps us muted. It keeps our power muted. It keeps our efforts muted. It keeps us muted in order to stay on the spinning wheel, right? And so the longer we are muting our power, the longer we are muting the truth of who we are, we stay disconnected from that truth. And this fast-paced world of productivity, that is one of the things that can lead to burnout and having us feel overwhelmed and exhausted and have chronic fatigue and things like that, because we are constantly on the go. We are constantly moving, constantly going, constantly expected to expand and evolve. And in that space, there's really no moment to truly heal, to take care of ourselves, to show up and be present for ourselves. And so because of this, we are in a state where our minds, our bodies, and our spirits are becoming completely depleted, right? And it matters because that way of living is simply not sustainable. It's not sustainable. If we're always going, always moving from one thing to the next thing, and always searching for outside opinions on how to make it through our days, we won't be able to continue going. And we won't be able to continue going. So today, I would like to offer 5 tools, or rather 5 reminders that will allow us to reconnect to who we are, to allow us to slow down long enough to remember that we are human and that there are certain things that we need in order to function at our highest level. And that is how we can reclaim our power in a world that is constantly wanting to keep us disconnected from that truth. So the first tool or reminder that I would like to offer to us today is to nourish and hydrate the body. And I know this is something that we may hear a lot of, right? There's so many different arguments and opinions on how to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. And at the root of it, always go back to remembering why you eat. We eat to fuel our bodies. We eat to nourish ourselves. We eat so that we can have the energy to continue going throughout our day. So if you remind yourself of why you eat, when you consume whatever it is, that will help align you back to nourishment. Why am I eating this? To nourish my body. And then you can ask yourself, well, is this thing that I just chose going to nourish me, or is it going to harm me? And whatever decision you make at that point, for the sake of this episode, doesn't matter in the sense of it's about getting you to have that conversation with yourself. It's not about beating yourself up of, oh, how many calories? What did I eat? No. Right now, the reminder is to nourish your body. Is what you're consuming nourishing you? And that's the first step. If you're able to recognize what's nourishing and what's not, after that, you are then able to take any step further in deciding what types of things you would like to nourish you. And along with that is hydration, remembering to hydrate. We live in a world where not many of us drink a lot of water. And it's important to remember that water is life. Water is our life. It makes up 70% of the human body. So we need water to survive. And for those of us who may prefer soda or sugary drinks or other things, I'm not saying that you have to completely eradicate those things. No. However, are you hydrating your body? If you are only drinking sodas, for an example, or even only drinking juices, in those spaces, is your body still getting the proper hydration that it needs to keep you alive and functioning? So again, nourish and hydrate your body, specifically having in mind, nourish and hydrate your body. The second tool or reminder that I would like to offer us is to rest the mind. Rest your mind. We are constantly thinking and constantly going and constantly, that we don't give ourselves often a moment to breathe. So I would like to invite you to create moments of sacred pause throughout your day. Allow your mind to shut down for a bit without taking in more information. In the world where we are surrounded by content and so many other elements and everything is just fast, it's in our hand, we can go fast, we can just scroll for hours and hours. That's information that our minds are absorbing. So it's okay to take a moment sometimes to give your mind a moment of rest, to give your mind a moment of peace and clarity. Rest your mind. It will go a long way. The third tool that I would like to offer is to remember to cultivate your spirit. And this is something that some of us may not really be able to understand, because if you all are anything like me, the only time I understood the concept or idea of spirit or spiritual living as I was being raised growing up was through the church. Okay. And for many of us, the only way we know about spirits and connecting to our creator is through our churches, our mosques, our synagogues, our places that are directly connected with religion. And while religion and having faith is amazing, and I definitely encourage you to continue practicing whatever religion feels most aligned with you, I will also remind us that cultivating our spirits is not just a religious practice. I will say that again. Cultivating our spirits is not just a religious practice. Our spirits lives and breathes outside of religion. And so when I am referring to cultivating our spirit, I am referring to the things that light you up. I'm referring to being outside in nature, because we are nature and we come from nature, even if the world we live in works very hard to remind us that we don't. Go outside, stand in the sun, touch grass, put your feet in the dirt, allow your spirit and your energy to be in direct contact with the one who created us all. So it doesn't matter what religious practice you believe or that you follow, we can all benefit from increasing our spiritual energy and vitality. So cultivate our spirit. A fourth tool that I would like to offer us is to express creativity. Be creative. Go outside, live life, explore. One thing that we used to do very, very well as children is play. Children have an amazing affinity for play and creating and creativity. And somewhere along the line, as we grow and evolve into adulthood, we forget the power of creativity and allowing ourselves to just create. And I know there may be some of you who are thinking, Latasha, I am not creative. There is not one creative bone in my body. and just know. And I understand why many of us are able to immediately go to that thought or that way of thinking, because I used to be that way as well. However, we all have an ability to create. We are all here as creators and creatives. And it's just about a matter of finding out what your creativity is. And this is some things we're going to explore during this podcast. Actually, we are going to be diving into different ways that we can create simple, effective ways and tools that we can allow our creativity to come out of us without feeling overwhelmed and intimidated. Actually, in today's episode, we will have a creative corner where we will go over a creative activity where we will actually do a creative activity together. So if you're interested, stick around and we will go through that together. But the last and final tool and or reminder that I would like to offer us is very similar to creativity. It's a friend. It's a very close. Let's call it a sibling of creativity, and that is in expressing and inviting in play and fun. Invite play, invite fun. We go through the world so kind of stagnant and rigid and that we forget that it's also about play. It's also about enjoying ourselves and having a good time and feeling good and being good and just enjoying our experiences. Because when we enjoy our experiences, it makes all the other parts of life a little bit easier to navigate through. And so invite play. Invite play. And so as one of those things, we're actually going to play and create right now. Right now. We're going to do it right now. If you have the capacity to join as we do this activity, please feel free to join. If you do not have the capacity right now, or you are not in a space where you're able to do it, I invite you to come back, revisit this episode, and go through the activity with us. For those of you who are just listening to this, I will do my best to talk us through it step by step. And for those of you who are watching the video, you'll be able to see us do it in real time. So let's transition to our creative corner. Let's create. So for today's creative corner, we are going to start very, very simply. For those of us who have the fear that we can't create and we're not creators and we don't know what we're doing, this is for you, my friend. So what I invite us to do is get a piece of paper, just a plain piece of paper, blank piece of paper. It can be whatever size. This piece that I have is actually a full page. I just folded it into 4 so it can be nice and small. However, you can get whatever size you would like, just a plain piece of paper and a pencil. I got a pencil just because most of us can access pencils fairly easy, and I want to show us that we can do this with simple tools. However, if you would like to grab a pen or your favorite coloring device, go ahead and get that. But for right now, we are going to use a pencil and a piece of paper. Okay, so you start with your pencil and piece of paper, and what I invite us to do first is to just draw some squiggly lines randomly across your paper. It can be anywhere. Don't think about it too hard. Just draw some squiggly lines, however many you want, whatever feels good to you. Random, completely random. Okay. The next thing, after you draw your squiggly lines, the next thing I'm going to invite us to do is within each section that is now made. So as your lines crossed each other, they made different sections on your paper. So within your section, just go in and create different shapes within each section. Just draw shapes. Draw some fun shapes in every single one. And if you want to get even more creative, don't draw them in every one. You can just pick and choose a few of them that you would like to draw them in. draw some shapes. And the point of this isn't to think about it. It's to just draw. Let your hand go. And for those of you who may be interested in knowing the type of creation this can be known as a Zen doodle. So go ahead and fill in all of or some of the spaces. And once your spaces are filled in, you'll be able to see that there's a little bit of extra space that's shown outside of your shapes. In between your shapes and in between your lines, we're just going to round out and fill in any gaps. Anywhere that you see space now in between your shapes, we're just going to color it in. Just fill it in. And after you fill that in, you can start to see an image take shape, right? You can start to see something starting to form. And so now within all of our shapes, we can now start to just randomly draw different things, whatever you would like. Just allow your hand to go and flow. You can draw lines, you can draw dots, you can draw more smaller shapes. The goal and the point of this isn't to idealize a finished product, but the goal and idea for this is to allow yourself to enjoy the creative process, to just do something. Sometimes one of the things we can get caught up on, and the reason we think we can't create, is because we start with the idea of what we want to make in mind, and we abruptly stop the journey. When we're focused on the outcome of what we want to create or what we hope this thing looks like, we don't give it the chance to become whatever it wants to be. So this method and mode of creating really allows us to just be present in the creating itself. It's not about what it looks like at the end, because to be honest, everything we're doing is so random, we have no idea what it's going to look like at the end, right? It's just going to look however it looks, and we get to just be in the process. So again, this activity it can be known as Zen Tango or Zen Doodles. We'll do more of them together. However, just look into the concept, see if it's something that you would like to explore for yourself. This type of art has been very meditative for me, and I have really enjoyed it, especially because, again, it has allowed me to get out of my own way in the sense of I am a creator, I do create, and once I stop focusing on what I'm creating and just let it flow, this process has really allowed some really awesome things to flow from me. So I hope that as you give this a try, that you can start to see what things flow from you. So let me know in the comment section if you've tried this activity, and if you did, what things flowed from you. How did it feel? What came up for you? Or is it something that you're still like, nah, that's not for me? Either way, I encourage you to try it, because here at Rootz and Remedies, it is not just about the listening, but it is about the doing. We are active participants in our healing on this journey. So I hope you take an active part and give it a try. But as we prepare to wrap up today's episode, I hope that you were able to get something out of it. And just remember that even though we are in a very modern world that is very fast-paced and requires a lot of our time and attention, that our bodies are still able to heal themselves. And you and I and we, all of us, are the experts and professionals on our own bodies. And again, that's not to say that sometimes we don't need outside help and assistance, because yes, we do. However, with the 5 tools that we discussed today, which are nourish and hydrate your body, rest your mind, cultivate your spirit, express creativity, and invite play and fun, we are already putting ourselves on the path back to journeying home to ourselves, so we can take our power back and reclaim all the parts of ourselves that this modern world is trying to mute. So this week, take your power back. Refuse to stay muted and choose one, even if it's just one of the 5 things to focus on and work on. If it's asking yourself and being more mindful of why you're eating certain things that you're eating, or if it's trying the creative corner activity and giving some creativity a try, whatever it may be, choose one thing that you are going to commit to this week. Just 1 week, 7 days. What can you commit to that is going to take your power back from this world that's trying to drain us dry? Again, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And before we close, just a reminder of the affirmation for today, which is, I can make empowered decisions. I can make empowered decisions, because you can make empowered decisions. You can choose how you want to live your life. And that is how you take your power back. Until next time, my friends, love you dearly. So may you go in peace, flow in love, and enjoy creating the world that you wish to thrive in. Peace.